Prime Minister Abe will make a statement, which will be followed by the statement by the Right Honorable Prime Minister May. Prime Minister Abe, floor is yours. I once again welcome the first visit of Prime Minister May to Japan. Today, continuing from the dinner last night at Kyoto, I was able to take my time and have a good discussion with Prime Minister May on the Anglo-Japanese relations going forward. We are now living in an age of change and uncertainty. The international order founded on the rule of law is faced with serious challenges in a variety of ways. In this context, there is a growing importance of cooperation between Japan and the UK, which are the global strategic partners sharing basic values like democracy, rule of law, human rights, and so forth. North Korea resorted to outrageous act of launching a missile that flew over our nation. This is the unprecedented, serious, and grave threat. We absolutely do not tolerate the nuclear and missile development by North Korea. Today, in order to increase our pressure on North Korea, we agreed with Prime Minister May to strengthen our pressure on North Korea and to that end to seek China for her greater roles. This is of great significance. Today we issued our joint statement demonstrating our resolute determination of our two nations, which is also an important outcome of our discussion. Through today's talks, Prime Minister May and I agreed to advance Anglo-Japanese relations into a new stage centered on the areas of 1, security, 2, economy, and 3, global prosperity and growth. And we issued Japan-UK Joint Vision Statement, Japan-UK Joint Statement on Security Cooperation, and Japan-UK Joint Statement on Cooperation for Prosperity. First, on security. We, as partners in the maritime stability agreed on elevating our security cooperation to a new height, including the cooperation in ensuring the free and open Indo-Pacific Oceans. This is of great significance for the peace and stability of the world. I welcome Prime Minister May strengthening her engagement to Asia-Pacific region. Now the Great Britain is an important player in the Asia-Pacific. Henceforward, we will be promoting our concrete cooperation in areas such as joint exercise, defense equipment, technology cooperation, and support for capacity building. In the area of counter-terrorism and cyber attacks, I confirmed with the Prime Minister May to have closer collaboration. For the successful delivery of 2019 Rugby World Cup and 2020 Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games, we agreed to promote knowledge sharing in these fields with the UK, which has a wealth of experience through her hosting of Rugby World Cup and the London Olympic and Paralympic Games. We also discussed the situation in the East and South China Seas and reaffirmed the close collaboration between us to maintain the rules-based international order upon concurring on our strong opposition to the unilateral attempt to alter the status quo by coercion. Second, on the economic partnership. The fact that after the decision on Brexit, Japanese companies are continuing to make new investment into the United Kingdom, which shows the profound trust that Japanese companies have toward the British economy. It is important for the world economy to realize Brexit from the EU, which is smooth and successful. With this in mind, I have asked Prime Minister May for her continued consideration for ensuring transparency and predictability so as to minimize its impact on the business activities, including the Japanese companies. We also agreed to have further enhancement of the dialogue between the two nations for the strengthening of the bilateral economic relations after the Brexit. Lastly, but not in the least, in the area of cooperation for the prosperity and growth of the world, common challenges of our two nations, such as aging with low fertility, health, and women's empowerment, are the issues sooner or later that other countries would be facing. With respect to how we are going to counter these issues, I find it of great significance that I agreed with Prime Minister May to lead the international efforts for knowledge sharing through Anglo-Japanese collaboration. Today, we were able to embark upon a step toward the new stage of cooperative relationship on a global scale as we look toward the future on the foundation of historical connection between Japan and the United Kingdom. Here in Asia, we will be feeling the presence of the United Kingdom even as closer than ever, as a presence which is to be trusted. The reverse is true as well. Japan will proactively engage with the British issues that UK is faced within Europe as well as global ones, and will contribute in their solution in partnership with the United Kingdom. It is indeed a great pleasure that I am here to witness together with Prime Minister May the dawning of a new era in our bilateral relationship. Going forward, I wish to seek the forceful advancement of the Anglo-Japanese relations hand in hand with Prime Minister May. Thank you. Prime Minister May, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Prime Minister Abe, for welcoming me to Kyoto and to Tokyo. The close cooperation between our two countries is particularly important at this critical juncture, with North Korean provocation presenting an unprecedented threat to international security. I want to begin by expressing the UK's strong sense of solidarity with the Japanese people at this time. The UK and Japan are natural partners. We share common interests as outward-looking, democratic, free-trading island nations with global reach. We are committed to the rules-based international system, free and open international trade, and the fundamental values of freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. And today we have committed to elevating the UK-Japan partnership in a number of areas. As two outward-facing countries with many shared priorities and shared challenges, Japan is a natural partner for us on defence and security issues. We are each other's closest security partners in Asia and Europe. And today we have agreed a joint declaration on security cooperation to enhance our collective response to threats to the international order and to global peace and security, through increased cooperation on defence, foreign policy, cybersecurity and counter-terrorism. Our defence cooperation is already particularly strong, with our Typhoon fighter jets exercising in Japan last year, the first time that a country other than the US has done so. And we are now taking this even further with the deployment of HMS Argyll to the region in December 2018, and UK troops exercising jointly with their Japanese counterparts next year in Japan for the first time ever. And we must also tackle new and emerging threats together through counter-terrorism and cybersecurity. And today we've agreed a new programme of cooperation to ensure a safe and secure Rugby World Cup and Olympic and Paralympic Games here in Japan. We have highlighted our opposition to any actions on the South and East China Seas likely to increase tension. Stability in this region is a global concern, and we encourage all parties to resolve their disputes peacefully and in accordance with international law. Of course, I'm here at a critical time. North Korea's missile launch this week was an outrageous provocation, and an unacceptable threat to Japan's national security. We condemn North Korea in the strongest terms possible for this reckless act, which was a clear violation of United Nations Security Council resolutions. In response to this illegal action, Prime Minister Abe and I have agreed to work together and with others in the international community to strengthen pressure against North Korea, including by increasing the pace of sanctions implementation and working towards the adoption of a new and effective resolution at the United Nations Security Council. Japan is also a natural partner for the UK on the economy. In building a rules-based international system and encouraging WTO reform to ensure a global economy that works for everyone. Japan is the world's third largest economy, and we benefit more from Japanese investment than any other country in the world apart from the United States. Japanese companies already invest more than £40 billion in the UK, and over 1,000 Japanese companies, including Honda, Hitachi, Fujitsu and Sony, employ 140,000 people in the UK. And we welcome the commitment from Japanese companies to a long-term presence in the UK. Nissan, Toyota and SoftBank in particular have made commitments to the UK since the EU referendum, in a powerful vote of confidence in the long-term strength of the UK economy. I've had the opportunity to meet a number of major Japanese investors here in Tokyo who have reiterated to me their belief in the strength of the UK economy and their commitment to a mutually beneficial partnership. And Prime Minister Abe, it was good to hear you reaffirm your continued faith in the UK economy, including after Brexit, as we addressed the business leaders earlier today. As announced earlier this month, our intention is that the UK will be free to sign new bilateral trade agreements with partners around the world in any interim Brexit period. And we've agreed here today that we want to see a swift conclusion. We want to see a swift conclusion of the ambitious EU-Japan Economic Partnership Agreement. Prime Minister Abe and I have agreed that as we exit the EU, we will work quickly to establish a new economic partnership between Japan and the UK based on the final terms of that agreement. We will set up a new joint working group to examine how we can unblock remaining barriers to trade and take steps to build the closest, freest trading relationship between the UK and Japan after Brexit. And we've agreed to build cooperation in industrial policy across science, innovation and energy to ensure thriving and competitive economies. So thank you, Shinzo. My first visit to your country has been a memorable one. I've seen your rich traditional culture and the modern dynamism of Japan. And our personal friendship reflects the deep friendship and bonds between our two countries. This visit marks a great step forward, not only in enriching our existing ties, but agreeing our shared vision of even deeper cooperation in the future. And I know that as we both believe these issues will not only increase our own security and prosperity, and the steps we've taken will be important in that, but they will also see us together playing a unique role as standard bearers for the open, liberal, innovative and secure world order that both our great nations rely on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will accept the questions from the media. We will have one question from Japan and one question from the UK press. So I will designate a person. Please identify yourself by stating your name and affiliation and proceed to your question. Japanese press, question please. Kato from Television Tokyo Network. I have a question regarding future Anglo-Japanese relationship from economic and security fronts. The Brexit negotiation has a due date in March in year after next. In this context, there is still concern regarding the adverse impact on Japanese companies. There are people expressing Japan-UK FTA based upon Japan Japan-EU EPA, which was agreed in principle last month. Bearing those points, what is your expectation regarding the future economic relations through today's summit talks? On the other hand, on the security front, UK is geographically far away from East Asia, and they may not have much sense of crisis regarding North Korean threat. How did you feel about this through the summit talk? Yesterday, I welcomed Prime Minister May in Kyoto, and I organized a tea ceremony. In the tea room, where you can feel the long history and the tradition of our country, I saw the only one foreign-made implement. Of course, other implements were the artistic implements of craftsmanship. And only foreign-made implement is a water pitcher, and it was a porcelain made in the United Kingdom. However, the British-made implement is beautifully blending into the atmosphere of the tea room of Japanese tradition. When I saw that, I was made aware once again of the long years of cultural and economic connections between Japan and the United Kingdom. I really could feel the depth of the relationship. At present, in the United Kingdom, there are about 1,000 Japanese companies establishing their bases, employing 160,000 Britons. For UK, Japan is the second-ranking investor, non-EU investor. And therefore, Japan and the UK are mutually important countries. On the question of Brexit, our country would like to have the minimization of the impact to companies because of Brexit. In the process of negotiation for Brexit, I hope that transparency and predictability be ensured. That would be very important. In today's talks regarding such points, once again, I have presented my requests to Prime Minister May. To this, Prime Minister May said that she will be listening to the voices of Japanese corporations so that she will realize the transition of Brexit in a smooth and orderly way, which encouraged me enormously. As Prime Minister May says, UK is a staunch supporter of free trade. Looking toward the final agreement of Japan-EU EPA by the end of this year, I will be cooperating with Prime Minister May. Having said so, as we agreed with Prime Minister May, I agreed with Prime Minister May, looking toward the strengthening of the economic relations between the two countries after Brexit, we will have the closer collaboration under the strong involvement at a political level. North Korea, they've conducted 2 times a missile launch, ballistic missile launch of the class of ICBM. That threat is felt not only by our country or Asia alone. It has become a global threat, including Europe. In other words, North Korea will launch ICBM, and the range would include almost the entire region of Europe. So it has become a global threat. With Prime Minister May on the question of North Korea, we spent a good amount of time, and I was able to have a good exchange of opinions of great significance. From that point of view, we were able to issue a joint statement regarding North Korea with the Prime Minister May. Between Japan and the United Kingdom, which is the member of the Security Council, permanent member of the Security Council, we would seek the furtherance and strengthening of the pressure over North Korea. We were able to agree for the close collaboration, including the fora of the United Nations, which is a major outcome of the summit talk. Security environment surrounding our country is becoming even more tougher. In this context, the security partner, closest security partner mutually in Asia and Europe, Japan and EU, must collaborate. The importance is even increasing. So to the special meeting of NSC, Prime Minister May was present, and North Korean situation analysis, as well as Asia-Pacific security-related environment, analysis thereof were explained so that we can share our recognition about the situation. At the same time, peace and prosperity of the region must be promoted. And for the global peace, too, we must cooperate mutually. It's very important that we have the cooperation, and that is quite significant that we were able to agree on this. This time round, regarding security cooperation, we were able to issue a joint statement, which is of great significance, based upon which, between Prime Minister May and I, we will have the closer collaboration so that we will have a good partnership and cooperation in the area of security. Thank you. Now, media from the United Kingdom.
Carl Dinnan from ITV News. Prime Minister, you have said that the strategy of containing North Korea must have Chinese involvement, but the Chinese have been pushing back. A party newspaper today saying you're speaking from a position of weakness. Is that strategy actually now working? And you may not be a quitter, but some of your MPs today have suggested your tenure may actually depend on them. Haven't they got a point? And if I may, Prime Minister Abe, some Japanese companies have left the United Kingdom. Have you heard enough this week from Prime Minister May to be able to reassure others that they don't need to leave?
First of all, Carl, on the issue that you raise about the response to the illegal acts by North Korea, China has been involved. It was involved in the UN Security Council debate earlier this week, and there was condemnation from that United Nations Security Council debate from all parties on the actions that North Korea had taken. Now we need to ensure that it's not just the words of condemnation, but that action is taken. And China does have a particular position in this. They have leveraged on North Korea, and I believe that we should be encouraging China to exercise that leverage to do what we all want, which is to ensure that North Korea is not conducting these illegal acts, and we can ensure the security and safety of nations here in this region, including, of course, Japan. On the second issue, you're right, I said I wasn't a quitter. And there's a long-term job to do. There's an important job to be done in the United Kingdom. We stand at a really critical time in the UK. Yes, that's partly about Brexit and getting Brexit right. But if you think back to what I said when I became Prime Minister, when I stood in Downing Street, there are many other issues that we need to address. Long-term challenges in our country. Ensuring that people don't feel left behind, that we are able to see a country that is working for everyone and prosperity spread across the country, that we deal with some of the injustices we continue to see, like the way in which mental health has been not addressed as it should have been in the past. These are real issues that we need to be dealing with, and I'm there to do it. And, you know, I think for most members of the public, they would say they want the government to get on with the job, and that's exactly what I and the government are doing.
Well, I have already responded into the previous question. We have 1,000 Japanese companies operating in the United Kingdom, and it is the base in the United Kingdom. At the same time, it is the gateway to the EU. There are many companies being a gateway in the United Kingdom for Europe. So I have asked the greater transparency and predictability in this regard. I have asked that to Prime Minister May, and then she responded in a very forceful way, which was encouraging. So, the thinking about Brexit or consideration about Japanese companies, well, Japanese companies are paying much attention to what UK will do. So in this context, the government and Prime Minister May's position is being appreciated by Japanese companies. Some of them are making new investments in the UK, and many companies are still staying in the United Kingdom, continuing their operation. They have expressed that. We had a successful business forum, influential company CEOs who were present in the forum. To tonight's banquet, business community leaders, many of them are being invited. So companies are operating in the UK, and most of the powerful companies' CEOs are present in those forum and banquet. So this will be a good opportunity. So I am confident that the UK will respond favorably to such a request. Thank you very much. With this, we will conclude the joint press conference of the two leaders of two countries.